First part of this video is going to be about nutrition and people lying about it. Please understand that lying about nutrition is how a shit ton of people make money. A great deal of it. And me doing this video means people will immediately do a standard cut and paste insult. Links below in the description. I've put them through archives and I've made sure that they don't say anything that YouTube might flag. That doesn't mean that they'll cease and desist flagging me. Phytoestrogens, naturally occurring compounds that are found in plant life that are vaguely like or can mimic hormones in a test tube and possibly in living things. Assertions made about them while ignoring what effect, if any, they have and what scale it's on. I'll put that near the end because most of you aren't going to listen. Some of you are immediately typing an insult, assuming that I have certain dietary requirements that you can insult. And some of you do not know how to make a proper latte. Phytoestrogens include lignans, stilbenes, and flavonoids. I can only pronounce, I think, one of those, flavonoids. Isoflavonoids include isoflavones. This is how many layers deep you have to go to find something that someone's going to complain about. When you have to go, we're now at 3 layers to find some connection, you're literally grasping at bullshit here. You're not grasping at straws, you're grasping at dust. Isoflavones also include genistein and daidzein. Dear medical professionals and chemists, make things easier to pronounce or we'll start using brand names instead and ignore you. Seriously, look up aspirin or Tylenol and see how they fucking... Anyway, isoflavones are found in the following things in the environment that human beings are able to get into their bodies. Meat, beer, cow milk. I'm going to repeat that. Meat, beer, and cow milk contain them. I didn't say soy milk, I said cow milk. Meat, beer, cow milk. Repeating it. Cow milk contains this. This is where you're going. Well, no, it's the same categories. They're also found in fruits, vegetables, cereals, and potatoes, which are tubers. It's not a tuba. They're also found in legume seeds, like peanuts, pistachios, and fava beans. The richest sources, and you're going to have to look up the scale of it, and it depends on how much you consume of these, are as follows. And I'm listing all of them, not just the vague subject matter, so that we can smash your face in with this. If you're concerned about these, you're not allowed so far to eat fava beans, pistachios, peanuts, cereal, potatoes, vegetables, and fruit, meat, beer, and cow milk. Let me repeat that. I want you to come up with a diet where you don't enjoy life right now. That'll keep you from taking in the isoflavones, which are what are actually the problem that people are bringing up here. Well, it's the phytoestrogens. Yes, because you can see the word estrogen in there. The specific one is isoflavones. Reading medical studies and science studies gets rid of this argument, doesn't it? But yes, you want something to type out on Facebook as an insult. Because that's how science works. Besides fava beans, pistachios, peanuts, potatoes, cereals, vegetables, and fruits, literally all fruits, all vegetables just about, beer, meat, cow milk, what's left? The richest sources of isoflavones are black beans. You can't eat black beans anymore. Lima beans, kidney beans, navy beans. They just listed as beans. I'm listing every one of them. I want you to find something that isn't on that list right now. Can't? Then you can't eat beans of any kind. Fava beans, pistachios, peanuts, potatoes, cereal, vegetables, fruits, meat, beer, cow milk. What's left? Okay. High sources include chickpeas, black-eyed peas, green peas, and lentils. And then finally, the one that everyone does a study on, talks about for political motivation. It gets them a page view out of their stupid science paper. Maybe they can make some money. They literally charge you money to read these studies. I had to look for studies that weren't popular enough to rank a paywall. Actually, they're copies of the ones that are behind a paywall. So these are the popular ones that people cited. I'm directly citing the medical studies people are using to make a bullshit argument on politics. Now I'm going to discuss lattes. Yes, I know soybeans is in the list, along with green peas, black-eyed peas, chickpeas, navy beans, kidney beans, lima beans, black beans, which are the major sources for it. Well, I just won't eat soybeans. Do you eat any kind of beans? I mean, literally anything. Do you eat pistachios and peanuts? Do you eat cereals? Do you have potatoes? Do you eat vegetables and fruits? Literally the entire subgenre of part of the frickin' four food groups. And meat. And cow milk. And beer. Mr. Needle Dick Macho Boy yelling, "You're a soy boy." What are the effects of soy? Well, it's supposed to make you this, that, and the other thing. Okay, let's read off something funny. The only studies that compared the particular aspects that you're talking about found that gay men were found to be slightly better endowed and had higher motility of sperm than straight men. Part of this was based on limiting it to people who went on soy formula in the 80s, which is exactly what was complained about by the anti-soy boy crowd, and it should also be based on quote-unquote self-reporting for some of the cases. But for the most part, there was no real difference. But the only thing they did find is a slight uptick in motility and a longer duration of not needing erectile dysfunction drugs if you're gay. So I'm not exactly sure where any of you are going. Why would you cite a study that basically said you're a bunch of needle dicks who can't get it up and can't get a girl pregnant? Kind of ironic that the gay guys are more likely to impregnate than you are. Or maybe they just eat a balanced diet and it improves motility because they're in healthier conditions, because they found that straight men were afraid to eat certain foods or just didn't take care of themselves as much. Gay men are supposed to have all these, some sort of characteristics you bring up. One of the peculiarities about gay men since the 80s, if you weren't paying attention, is they're absolutely mind-bendingly paranoid about getting sick. They're trying to avoid getting AIDS because it's statistically likely that they're higher likelihood of getting it. So they avoid it. They practice safe sex more often, because it's literally life or death for them. They take care of themselves slightly more often. If you want to attribute it to them trying to look better, I don't care. They tend to be in better condition. They also have a higher risk set of factors in some cases due to all sorts of other crap going on in their life. But they also have a higher likelihood of seeking help to get rid of those problems. The majority of gay men that I've actually met, in business life, sometimes they'll mention it or whatever. I don't care. I'm a computer hacker. I don't care at the time. But okay, thanks for telling me. I mean, being out and proud or whatever. But the other thing is, when they were over 30, they had a lower incidence of medical problems, lower incidence of drug abuse. In more cases in Portland, anyway. Now, if you want to take that as being statistically significant or not, I don't care. But this mythology about gay people have a bunch of negative characteristics about them, and then people scream that there's a gay agenda and that they're getting preferential treatment. That doesn't work in the real world. They can't be getting better lives and also worse. You can't do that. It doesn't tilt that way. I'm sorry, but that door doesn't swing both directions. They either have to have a miserable life and shit's going wrong with them, therefore they're being shit on by society, which was the standard in the old days, or they're being elevated, which you can claim is going on. You can claim it's both ways if you want to, but you have to give specific examples, not be a bunch of generalists in the comment section. Did I mention that they're supposed to be a lot more well-endowed and be more motile and more fertile? Where did this come from? People were curious about lentils, legume seeds, peanuts, pistachios, fava beans, black beans, peas of any kind, lentils, soybeans. They were curious if they had any health effects. Now, a bunch of health gurus decided to claim that they had major improvements in all sorts of things, including erectile dysfunction and everything else they could sell it for. Selling supplements that basically consisted of soy milk. Powdered soy milk was sold as an erectile dysfunction cure. because people were lying about them having positive effects. So a bunch of people like me would come along and debunk it. The only thing you're remembering is the debunkings of it doesn't do what you claim. That doesn't mean it had negative effects. But anyway, they started fixating on isoflavones. They can become endocrine disruptors. Now, this can help a person who has endocrine problems in their body. They found that they were incredibly weak compared to the endocrines or hormones or whatever it is they were trying to use this for, compared to the normal ones in your body. Your body overwhelms this stuff. But they can, quote, disrupt, potentially. What does potentially could kind of sort of mean in science? It means they weren't able to prove anything, but they weren't willing to admit it in a fucking science paper. Those papers have been debunked, but keep citing them because they show the health benefits. Endocrine disruption might lead to an unbalanced hormone level. That means they didn't demonstrate that it did, unless a person was a woman going through menopause or a man in his 90s. Oh yeah, context isn't important. We need to scream soy boy. Unbalanced hormone levels, not from this, just unbalanced hormone levels, can be a factor in cancer risk assessment. Depending on which way it's unbalanced, you have a lower or higher risk of cancer. Okay, well, let's look at what happened. Evidence from observational studies shows people who consume soy at a higher rate have a significant decrease in prostate cancer. High intakes of soy foods only in early life would cause it. Meaning, when you're a kid, if you take in soy, it reduces your likelihood of having cancer of the prostate. Yes, those are also the same ones you're claiming are going to always be gay. Where did they find this from? They did this study in Europe, Asia, where they consume a shit ton of soy products, and America. The ones that ate soy had a decrease in prostate cancer. But, and again, the same thing, the only studies you can find show that if you're going to say this about they didn't find a higher incidence of gay people. They found the same statistical likelihood of homosexuality in straight people. It had no effect on your orientation. What about estrogen levels? No effect. No, it doesn't make you gay. No, it doesn't turn you into a woman. If it disrupts estrogen, and women will tell you this, it might jack up your estrogen or drop it violently. Same thing with testosterone. It's called a whiplash effect. A bunch of people on the internet will tell you about them using hormone replacement therapy, real hormones, and finding out that if a woman takes male hormone, the body will sometimes fight and put out even more estrogen, so they become even more feminine. They're not a good candidate for hormone replacement therapy. You can look that up. Happens all the fucking time. They have to use an extremely low dose and try to trick the body, or it doesn't do anything. If you give men high doses of testosterone, they become impotent. Well, no, they don't. But what they do become is usually pseudo-sterile. They don't produce sperm. They become less likely to reproduce. But they're... Well, you're lying because soy boy. Excuse me? People who lift weights taking testosterone to enhance themselves rather than something else show having low fertility rates. They are not able to impregnate. Y'all know that. Some of you anti-soy boy people did that to yourselves. Some of you have permanent alteration of your bodies that way. Plant estrogens are weaker than human hormones by a factor of a minimum of 100 to 1. And these phytoestrogens and all of this stuff gets broken down in the digestive system and can only happen to produce estrogen-like behavior in a person who has a physiological tendency to cause it. Meaning, unless you're one of those unlucky 1 in 15,000 that does this, it has no effect, which is the reason they don't normally use it. Men and women would have to have a genetic predisposition to be able to digest something to cause this. So they give up and give them ordinary estrogen or testosterone treatments. And again, your body can still fight it, and probably will. And yeah, if you have an overload of testosterone, you're usually less likely to sire young. Donald Trump, commentary maybe later. I'm just getting the popcorn and watching what's happening to him instead. So be sure to yell soy boy in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Good day. Good luck.